Welcome to the Diaspora Show with Jimi. Here we bring you news and views about what's happening in the diaspora. Recently we told you about the visit of Mr. Jimi Agbage, who is the gubernatorial candidate of the PDP to Lagos State. He came to the UK. It was a visit organized by the Friends of Jimi Agbage UK, and it was a great time. I was in attendance, and a lot of Nigerian dignitaries and personalities were also there. It was a time of dialoguing, dining and dancing. People had fun. If you missed the event, well, I really want to say that you missed a bit. But don't worry, the Diaspora Show and Diaspora Player was present, and we actually bring you some exclusive footage that I'm sure that you really enjoy. So please sit back, relax, and watch Mr. Jimi Agbage share his vision about Lagos and what he wants to see if elected as governor in this coming election. So please don't forget to visit us, our website www.diasporapl.com for your events and things that you want us to cover. And also follow us on Twitter at DiasporaPL. If you have news or views, please send them to Get Promoted at DiasporaPL, and I'll be glad to hear from you and get back to you as soon as possible. So please watch this video of Mr. Jimi Agbage talk to you about his vision for Lagos. I remain Jimi, and thanks for watching the Diaspora Show.
Let me quickly go to the topic of the day. It's about Lagos, and it's about our Lagos. It is our Lagos, because one way or the other, there's hardly anyone that doesn't have the same Lagos. Let me just give you an example of our Lagos. Again, in the course of campaigning for the primaries, you know, you get a lot of feedback, and people don't know that you do get this feedback. And there's a gentleman who, to the best of my knowledge, doesn't stay in Lagos, and influential in the process, and said, we don't want trouble in Lagos, because I have heavy investment in Lagos, and I want Lagos to be okay. So to the extent that whether you stay in Lagos, or you have investments in Lagos, it is your Lagos. And so it is our Lagos. And it's important that we say a little about this Lagos of ours. If we look at Lagos over the last nearly 60 years, probably 8 years in particular, you will find that the economy of Lagos has grown from some $20 billion in 1999 to some $72 billion in 2013. So we've had an economy, or GDP, that has quadrupled more or less. Of course, largely due to steady oil prices over the last 8 to 10 years. So it's an economy that has grown in that respect. Again, it's important that we look at our Lagos, that while it has grown, the economy has grown in that respect by some 400%, we also have incurred debts. Or let me first talk about the internally generated revenue. We've been able to raise our IGR from some 10 billion naira again in 1999, and the IGR today is nearly 400 billion naira. So we've been able to raise IGR that much. But then our debts, again, we are taking from about 10 billion naira, and today Lagos is owing some 435 billion naira. So you have a situation where, in terms of our debt, in 2010, it was about 51% of our total revenue. Today, our debt situation is about 112% of our total revenue. So while we can say that the economy has grown, but our debt situation has grown in far geometric progression. I'm trying to give you a picture of the Lagos as it is in as unbiased a manner as possible, because it's important at this kind of forum, when we do get on the campaign trail, then we will know how to shout in one way or the other. But these are not just where we need to know exactly how things are. And so that's Lagos. And so in terms of performance over the last 60 years, yes, we cannot say that there has not been any improvement. I would not say that. We have had, it's been a mixed bag. But then I talked about the economy in terms of growth, terms of the impact of this growth on the people, and when I say the people, now I'm talking about the majority of people who are in Lagos, we have honestly very little in terms of social impact. Maybe key would be, say, a BRT, which in itself was a very good concept to bring to Lagos. The idea, of course, of the BRT is that we're going to replace the BRT, replace the motorways and the Danfos with a transport system that you and I and everybody could use. A transport system that will take you from point A to point B in as little time as possible. But the reality is that while the concept was okay, the implementation has been anything but okay. Our BRT buses today are no better than the motorways of yesterday. And that is the reality that we have on the ground. It is not uncommon to move from Ikeja to Lagos and find maybe one or two BRTs broken down on the road. And that's what we have. So while there was a concept that was good, we cannot say that it has impacted positively on the people. We have a mega city. There's no mega city that is going to grow without having a good transport system. The light rail, again, a good concept, but we've been at it for years now, and we haven't been able to see the end of it. Time will not permit me to go into the details and the issues as to why this is so, but let us just say, for the purpose of today, that is not there. We have a situation where, in terms of impact on the people, we talk about things like social conditions like housing. We have a government in the last 16 years, by their own account, have provided 25,000 housing units since 1999 to 2013. 25,000 units. In a Lagos that requires some 200,000 units annually to be able to meet up with the demand. So if in 16 years, we've been able to, the government has been able to contribute 25,000 units only to that, you then understand why you have the slums that we have in Lagos, because people have to find somewhere to stay. And so you have a situation where you have the slum continue to increase. Again, money has been borrowed, World Bank, in terms of slum urban renewal, in terms of slum reversion. None of the slums that we have can be said to have been reversed in any positive way. And that's what we have. So if anything, we are having more increase in terms of that. In terms of the environment, yes, there's been improvement in waste collection. Lagos is cleaner today than it was before. So you have some positive thing in terms of waste. So one is going to be that. You have at least in the metropolis a greener Lagos. It may not have expanded to outside the metropolis, but at least you do have a greener Lagos. But then in terms of also the environment, we still have a problem where people do not have water, where only I think about 39%, we have a provision of 39% of the demand for water. And you know that when there's no water, there's a ripple effect on so many other things in terms of health and all. We have a situation where our inner roads are still largely untouched. So while we may say an Ikorodu road or an Aula road seem to be looking good, it's not so for those who stay in Alimosho and such areas. So that is the Lagos that we have. It's also important that we look at our Lagos based on the kind of monies that have gone through Lagos and say, yes, there has been improvement. But to what purpose, to what goals have this improvement been? Can we really say that we have done well? I say that Lagos is like the good story of the toad or the frog that you put in water and you warm slowly, and is enjoying that warmth, believing that it's feeling very good. And before it realizes, it's already cooked in the process. Because again, it's important that we begin to benchmark Lagos. And I would say, let's benchmark Lagos even within Nigeria. And look at today and see, well, these monies we've had, this growth in the economy, how has it related to with other states, even in the country? So you have a situation today in Lagos where, by the World Bank records, they say that if you compare the 36 states of Lagos and the ease of getting, say, construction permits in Nigeria, Lagos ranks number 36 of 36 states. So it's the most difficult state to get construction permit. It means that if you want to build your house, you're going to go through hell. It means that if you want to build your factory or any industry, you're going to go through hell. So it's on record that Lagos is the most difficult place to get construction permit, even within Nigeria. Now this is a Lagos that we say we want to be the commercial center, the economic hub, not just of Nigeria, but of the region, of the continent if possible. But if you're going to begin to have problems, even to bring business in, even to bring your own homes in, many of you here send money home and you want to build houses. I'm sure you agree that many of the houses you are building do not have title because it is a problem to get title. Again, to register property in Lagos, of 36 states, Lagos is number 31 out of 36. So it's a very difficult state to register property. If you want to look at Lagos in terms of the rankings again, in terms of ease of enforcement of contracts, Lagos is not doing very well. Lagos is 28th out of 36. So you are looking at Lagos and saying, yes, we maybe think we're doing well, but looking forward, we're not doing as well as we think we are doing. Because the way the world is going, if you are not having those things in place, then you're not going far. And that is the reality of the situation. Now that is within Nigeria. Now let us talk about the world, the globe. We say we want to be a global megacity of the future. If we want to be a global megacity of the future, then we have to begin to benchmark Lagos with all those other cities. Now let us look at the rankings again. So we say we have spent so much money, we say we have done well or we're doing well, but then if you look at the Economics Intelligence Unit report rankings, you find that of 140 countries, in terms of the best and worst cities to live in, Lagos is number 137 out of 140. So it means that this Lagos that we think is fantastic is more or less like the fourth worst city to stay in terms of the livability index that we have. And if we look at that, there's what you call the competitiveness of the cities. In other words, there's this report that projects between 2010 and 2025, where do you think you want to invest in? Where do you think your business is going to be good in? And again, of 120 countries, or 120 cities, Lagos is number 119. So you begin to look at it. And so it is from that perspective that we're able to say this is a true assessment of where we are in Lagos. So even within the context of Nigeria, yes, there's a lot of money, yes, there's a lot of noise, but the results do not show the kind of money that we're putting into Lagos. The results do not show that we are ready to be a global megacity in the real sense of the word. And so, that if you look at it like that, then our work is cut out for us in moving forward in this environment. It's important that Lagos brings opportunities to the reach of everyone. And when we say everyone, irrespective of socioeconomic background, irrespective of gender, irrespective of tribe, of religion, Lagos must provide those opportunities. Lagos must not just be the commercial center of Nigeria. It is today not because it is doing fantastically well. It is the commercial center because that is just how it is. But the reality is that there are many cities that are beginning to take out of Lagos. In fact, everything that is going on around the world today are working against Lagos. If by the time we begin to get the real system working in Nigeria, Lagos is going to be the loser. Because people are going to be asking themselves, what are they looking for in Lagos? So we have to begin to look at Lagos from that perspective that it must work to be not just the commercial center, it must be the commercial center of the region, it must be the commercial center of the continent. And that is the way Lagos must go. And in doing that, it means that we have to get some things right. We have to go back to the basics. First accept that we're not doing it right. We have to do it differently. And so we say that in moving forward, we need to do Lagos on a tripod, what we call a tripod, of security, of health, and of education. That there's no way Lagos is going to grow if it doesn't stand on that tripod. A three-legged stand is a very secure stand, and security, education, and health provide that stand. Today, we have a situation where, in terms of education, we have, even if you look at the latest figures, 56% in 2013 passed WAEC or WASC with 5 credits. In 2014, it dropped to 46%. So, over here, you talk about how many people made A's and A pluses. In Lagos, we're talking about how many people just pass. And you and I know that the global city of the future does not have room for just the passes, because there's just no way for that. And so it's important that we begin to look at Lagos in that perspective. We must begin to address education in the real sense. And we're saying that it's time to bring about, not to reinvent the wheel, but to bring about bold ideas that present new opportunities for our people to tap into. So it's, we have to look at education and see what is wrong. Very briefly, if I take education, you have a situation where in our Lagos today, 82% of the education budget is on recurrent. And so you find that the remaining 18% is just on capital. When you then look at even the capital budget, you find that of that 18%, the bulk of it, about 10%, is used for the secretariat. In other words, it's not really directly related to education. So you begin to look at the way we are spending money and where we're spending or why we're spending money in that manner. So these are some of the things. You have a situation where of even the 18%, I believe you have some 3% or 3% or so on primary education. You find that Lagos is one of the states that spends very little on primary education. So you have a situation where you have people that are pushed on to secondary and tertiary that have no foundation whatsoever. So once the foundation is wrong, there's nothing you can build on it. Lagos has neglected primary education, and that's what we're suffering for today. So we need to begin to look at the way that these things are being addressed. I've gone to fora, they say, oh, it is because of the curriculum. And I say, it has nothing to do with the curriculum. It has to do with the investments and where you put this investment. So we're not saying we're reinventing the wheel. We're saying that basic education is very important. You have to go back to those basics and make sure it's well. I tell the younger ones, I say, when you look at those that have moved the world, changed the world, they're not people that, it wasn't university education that gave them the knowledge and the skills. It was their basic education. And that's why you find that many of them are considered university dropouts. Because what they needed, the innovation, the creativity, they got from their basic education. And that is missing in our country generally, but Lagos in particular. So we're beginning to prepare for the future without the right skills, without the right knowledge for our youth. And so we then wonder where they're going to get jobs. You are not, I mean, for those of us who are home, you see those CVs coming in every day, and you know that these people are unemployed. And that is the reality of the situation, that they are really unemployed. And so we need to